I'm making this statement on behalf of my husband, Huw Edwards, after what has been an extremely difficult 5 days for our family. Huw is suffering from serious mental health issues. As is well documented, he has been treated for severe depression in recent years, and once well enough to do so, he fully intends to respond to the stories that have been published. Now, it is, of course, worth remembering that Edwards has previously spoken about his struggles with mental health, with his severe depression, at times leaving him bedridden. I'm joined now, straight away, by talkTV correspondent Oliver Whitfield-Mearchish, who is outside the BBC headquarters in central London. Ollie, this was just over an hour ago. Let's have the latest, please.
So the very latest that we've had from the BBC is that they have had further allegations which have come from BBC staff members against their star presenter, Huw Edwards. Now, the news broke, as you say, just around an hour ago, and it was a frantic 15 minutes where we had a press release from the Metropolitan Police which said that they would not be carrying out any further inquiries, then a press release from the BBC saying that their investigation would continue, and then the news from Huw Edwards' wife, Vicky Flind, confirming that her husband was the presenter at the centre of these allegations. Now, it is important to note that there has been no criminality that has been found by the police. Mr. Edwards will continue to have a presumption of innocence, but this past set of days has really thrown the BBC into crisis in how it deals with complaints, the speed it deals with complaints, the speed in which it spoke to the presenter has all been criticised from right across not only the political divide but right across society. There are some people who believe that the way that the story has been presented by The Sun was not fair and not accurate. There has been claim, there has been counterclaim, and yet here we are this evening with this name which has now been made public. Where the story goes from here, I think the BBC will want to draw this under the sand. They will want to make sure that they can move on from this and get their investigation done as quickly as possible. All the while, they will be concerned for the mental well-being of Huw Edwards. Let's not forget, this is a man who's worked for the BBC for 39 years. He's presented some of the biggest national occasions that we have, from royal weddings through to royal deaths, coronations most recently, plus general election coverage. No word yet about his future at the BBC. We have been told, though, that he is not resigned as of yet.
Ollie, I think just to take a beat for a minute, I was thinking about this as we came on air. We're in a media bubble. OK, I think it would be fair to say to people watching this at home that all of us in the media have known for the last few days exactly who this was. But for people across the United Kingdom, this will be a massive shock. There will be many who will feel blown away by a piece of information. I would describe this guy in terms of news reporting as sort of the father of the nation. And Ollie, you touched upon it, you know. He's presented some of the biggest moments, the Queen's death after 70 years on the throne, the coronation. He really has been the voice of the BBC. And of course, we must take a moment and think about his family, his kids and his wife. And there can only be sympathy. And it is absolutely right to say that recently he talked, I think last year, about his mental health struggles for the best part of 20 years and how, as I said in introduction, it has left him bedridden at times. That is not in any way prejudging what's happened. The Met Police today saying there's nothing criminal at this stage, but then you come on air and you say there have now been complaints from within inside Broadcasting House. I think you have to segregate the two and look at the family man, but also the person who, as the main news anchor for the BBC, and you talked about criticism of The Sun, I think it's very important to make a point. When you work for the BBC, when you are reporting such massively relevant issues to the nation, there is, I suspect quite rightly, a level and a standard that the public would expect of you. And I think, Ollie, in the next few hours and days, this story is going to continue and continue. But yes, a man is in hospital. He has mental health issues. Yes, there's much to discuss. The BBC's approach to this hasn't in any way been successful to this point, but there's many things to consider, is there not?
Yes, that's totally correct. And on that fact about people being shocked, you know, there had been a lot of speculation online. There had been polls that 1 in every 10 or 1 in every 6 people had so far worked out the name. But people who are walking down the BBC Piazza this evening, both members of the public and staff members who work from the BBC, are all saying that they are shocked. This is somebody who, as you say, has been beamed into their living rooms, delivering some of the biggest pieces of news that we've seen for the past 39 years, somebody who is trusted, and trust is right at the very centre of the BBC. It is one of their founding charters. And so it is a shocking development when people hear the allegations that have been put forward, and we have to stress they are only allegations at the moment. But to have somebody who you almost see on a nightly basis giving you some of the most impartial news possible, it does come as a shock. The BBC now will be looking at the possible ways that it can try to get over this, but it is going to be a long process for them.